Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Oilers. So it's been a hellacious week outside of hockey. As I'm sure everyone's heard, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to go into it on this. This is a non-political segment I do, but it's been eating up most of my time. So I dug up a few stories of interest, and so let's get started. So let's start with my favorite segment of this every week is making fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Right off the bat, we got, finally it's September, and that can only mean one thing. Yes, Toronto Maple Leaf bashing is back. It never ends for me, but meanings of the colors in Maple Leafs logo: blue, offense; white, defense; red, playoff series wins. And this one isn't a joke, but it kind of is. 2025-26 Stanley Cup odds: Florida Panthers plus 600. Edmonton Oilers, number 2 on the list. And this is from ESPN, by the way, plus 800. Colorado Avalanche, plus 700. Carolina Hurricanes, plus 800. Plus Dallas Stars, 10-1. Vegas Golden Knights, plus 850. Tampa Bay Lightning, 14-1. New Jersey Devils, 16-1. Los Angeles Kings, 18-1. And we finally get down to the Toronto Maple Leafs, 20-1, 10-1 in their conference. Only team on this list worse is the Winnipeg Jets at 25-1, and yet Sportsnet, TSN, Toronto media all think Toronto are the number one contenders coming out of the East. I love it. All right, so little news here. I got some pictures from the Condors, their jerseys for this season, and they're pretty sharp actually. So I'm sharing them above, and you can see all 4 different jerseys. 2 jerseys front and back. I especially like the one with the Savoy on the back because I still think Matt Savoy is going to the AHL. I don't care what they say. Like, he's going to get an chance at the start of the season on the Oilers. So don't take me as I'm sending him right down. But unless he absolutely knocks it out of the park, he is the logical player to send down. He doesn't have to clear waivers. So it's just a smart move. The same with Howard, actually. If Howard can't knock it out of the park, I'd send him down too. I know he didn't want to go down, but tough. He doesn't have to clear waivers either. We send him down. If they play well on the farm, we can always bring him back up. We get an injury, we can bring him back up. But I think this idea of just, they're rookies, therefore we have to play them on the top team it's idiotic. It really is, in my opinion. Now, the one thing I will qualify is I read recently that McDavid is worried about the age of the team. And okay, so bringing up rookies, but McDavid is more worried about winning. And like I've said it before, if you got Savoy and you got Howard, they're starting on the 3rd and 4th lines. I don't care what Bob Stauffer says. If they start on the top 2 lines, that is a recipe for disaster. One of the biggest problems, in my opinion, this franchise has faced over the long history is it keeps awarding spots not based on performance. Bring them up, sure. Put them on the 3rd and 4th line. And if they produce, then you start putting them into the 2nd line. You start putting them into the 1st line. You start putting them on the power play. When they earn it, they need to earn it. It can't be just handed to them. Like, Howard and Savoy are not franchise players like McDavid and Leon or even Taylor Hall. They are high potential players. Not arguing that for a second, but they are not franchise players. They are not superstars right now. So you bring them in and you let them earn their way up. Earn their way up. You don't just hand it to them. If they just hand it to these guys, and just so you're clear, I'm not bashing these 2 players. I'm really not. I'm just saying they got to earn it. If it's just given to them, that defeats the purpose, in my opinion. Why are we even trying? So that's how I see that anyway. All right, so we have, well, this is kind of depressing news. I'd heard a rumor of this last week, and Carter Hart almost certainly signing with U.S.-based team, ruling out Oilers as option. Now, I'd heard rumblings of this last week. I really thought he would come to Edmonton to rebuild his career, even if it was only for 1 year, But it sounds like he's only interested in going south of the border. So Chris Johnson from The Athletic said, once Hart chooses his next NHL destination, he's expected to sign a 2 or 3 year contract per league sources. The 2-year term would open up the possibility of an extension as soon as the summer of 2026 if the player and the team feel it's a good match. In the meantime, Hart's focus is getting his game back to the NHL level. The terms of the league reinstatement allow him a month of practice and get acclimated with his new team from October 15th to November 15th before he becomes eligible for an American Hockey League conditioning stint. So it's not completely ruled out, but there's more and more rumblings that he's going to go to America. And if he's looking for a 2 to 3 year deal, I'm not sure the Oilers could even give him that. Like, my opinion was we'd give him 1 year and see if it's a fit, and then give him a big extension if it is. But if he's looking for the 2 to 3 years right off the bat, that may actually disqualify us right off the bat, But we'll see. You never know until it's done. So maybe the team, I'm sure Carter Hart wants to win. He played for Philly, and he's done a lot of losing in his career thus far. So maybe the teams that are interested in him in the States are not contenders. That's always possible. So we'll see how that plays out. But as it stands right now, it sounds like he won't be coming here. And like I said, that sucks, but because I would really like to see him pushing Skinner. I'm not a Stu Skinner hater, but I would love to see a quality, and I got nothing against our backup, nothing at all. I thought he played actually really well last year for what he had to do, but Carter Hart is better than him. All right, we got Oilers released 7 players from tryout contract ahead of NHL training camp. I have never heard of any of these players, but like I said, I don't have a lot to talk about this week, so this is kind of filler. The Oilers have released defenseman Drew Krebs from his professional tryout, as well as forward Andrew O'Neill, defenseman Jackson Adam, Carson Woodall, Parker Von Richter, and Hyde Davison, and goaltender Josh Benini from their amateur tryouts. I'm not going to go through their stats. I've never heard of any of these guys. We took a look at them. They didn't impress. Move on. So anyway, that was really about all the hockey out of this week. Is they came in for the rookie games. Speaking of the rookies, this is from Oilers Nation. 5 Edmonton Oiler rookies who impressed during Next Gen Showcase. By somebody named Spencer Pomati. I've never heard of him either. And I know a lot, or I've heard of a lot of the local media, but okay. And I don't agree with his statements. Let me say this up front. I read part of this article. Viljami Margela, a center, a 2021 fifth-round pick of the Sabres who signed a 2-year ELC with the Oilers after not being qualified, was one of the more impressive players. Every time he was on the ice, the puck seemed to find him because of the routes he takes. On breakouts, he comes low, builds speed under the play, and becomes an option for his wingers or support the battle. Watching the playmaker this weekend made it easy to see how he put up 44 assists in 54 games. He is pass heavy, but he makes it work with deception and poise under pressure. He also opened Friday's scoring with a beautiful breakaway 5-hole. It will be interesting to see how the former Luiga forward looks on the main camp in preseason. Yeah, I've never heard of him. And just for clarification, I do not subscribe to Oilers Plus. I hate to talk ill of the team, but I think that's an absolute ripoff. They just packaged up what used to be free, and now they charge you, so I'm not going to pay for it. I'll just wait till October 3rd and start watching the games. Okay, Matt Savoy, winger, another former Sabre pick. Matt Savoy showed out. The St. Albert product was the best player of the weekend for me. That's for him. His explosiveness was on display from multiple breakaways, including a penalty shot goal, to winning foot races. Expectations were high and he met them. The only critique is he needs to shoot more and be a threat himself. On Sunday, he took a cross-checking penalty that, while not ideal, showed his natural competitiveness. I hope he gets a long look on Leon Draisaitl's wing in the camp in preseason. And that is what I disagree with. I just went over this. Matt Savoy is going to get a look. There's no doubt about that. But to put him up instantly with Draisaitl would be such a fundamental mistake. A colossal mistake. We got to stop handing these roles out. We need to build the environment of earning them. Like, how did it work out for us with Yamamoto when he was handed on Draisaitl's line? Is he even in the league anymore? Or how about Yakupov? And Yakupov was a much higher potential talent than Matt Savoy is. Last I heard, Yakupov was barely hanging on in the KHL. So we have to stop handing top 6 spots to these guys. Put them in the third line, put them in the fourth line, and make them show their grit. Make them show that they can earn it. And the other thing I have with, first off, cross-checking doesn't impress me. I'm an ex-referee. So cross-checking is not grit, and you're not impressing me with a cross-check at all. Savoy is a very tiny player. I don't think he's going to do well in the NHL, if I'm being quite honest, because of his size. He doesn't have that Theo Fleury grit. He doesn't. And it's not an insult to say it. He doesn't. Okay, he stood out to this guy in the rookie tournament where we got rid of 5 players the day after the rookie tournament. And I'm sure Calgary did as well. So, you got to, again, I said this in another video. I said it about goalies, but it applies here too. You got to base this off of the competition level they're facing. Like, you can be an all-star in a beer league. That doesn't mean you're even going to make an AHL team, So we'll see come the very short preseason and into the season. But my gut feeling is that Savoy's going down for another season, or at least partially. You can always call him back up, but he doesn't have to clear waivers. And that's the big thing, is we got to stop trying to force players that do have to clear waivers through, because it never works out for us. We always lose them. Teams pick them off. So we have to give those players the first chance to sink or swim, in my opinion. And if they sink, then we send them down. And if they get picked up, okay, we know they weren't going to fit. If they swim, awesome. But, so I don't understand the Oilers sometimes. I really don't. Okay, next one is Quinn Houston. Quinn Houston signed after an excellent career in Boston University that ended with 50 points in 38 games at 23 years old. He is an older prospect and needed to show well, and he did. Like the other two, Savoy and the other guy, I'm not even going to try to say the other guy's name. Houston is a skilled pass-first winger, but he is more willing to shoot. His best trait this weekend was creating his own lanes to thread pucks through. He also used drag shots, fakes, deception to get pucks on net. I do wonder about his NHL upside given an average skating base and his age, but it was a strong weekend. So this guy will probably be going to the AHL, especially if his foot speed is only average, because the Oiler foot speed is fast. So he'll go to the AHL, he'll work on that, he'll work on the other things, and we'll see. Here's the one I would like to see. Out of all these guys, this is the one I want to see the most. Bo Akey, defenseman. The 2023 second rounder had a 2024-25, an okay 2024-25 after shoulder surgery, with fewer points, but strong defending for Barrie. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, I lived in Barrie, Ontario for 20 years. So I went to the Colt games there. Now, I left before Akey got there, but I still have friends there and I still heard about Boake, which is why I'm interested in him. His skating pops immediately and he uses it well. Tight gaps, beating the first forechecker and moving along the blue line. If he refines his hands and puck skills, he can be a real transition threat because he's consistently beats F1. His first pro season will be interesting. He is still slight and relies on upper body defending. He will need to leverage his body better along the wall. So I would like to see him get his tryout in Edmonton, but then I would like to see him go down to the farm and work on that. Like he's off of a major injury, so that's probably where he lost a lot of weight. So he's got to put the muscle back on, and he's got to get into game shape. Like again, they're talking about being impressed by these guys in the rookie games where a lot of the rookies are already released because they're not even AHL players. They're not even ECHL players. So you got to take into account the competition they're facing. But I think Boake is going to be an Oiler, and he's going to be a good Oiler. I think he just, you give him your chance, and then maybe he surprises us all and he gets a spot. But more than likely, he goes back down to the AHL and he works on the things he needs to work on. And then next year would be the year I would expect him to challenge for a spot. The other name is, he was drafted this year, David Lewandowski. The newest pick on this list, David Lewandowski showed encouraging signs. As noted in his profile, the German-born winger excels at playmaking, under pressure. He rarely misses on a pass and creates a lot. He moved up the lineup on Sunday and played on the third line rather than the fourth. I am expecting a strong year from him in Saskatoon. So he's a junior player still. So we won't be getting him. Honorable mention to Connor Clattenburg, who played his usual pest-like game. He finished with a goal, a couple of fights, plenty of hits, and stirred up multiple scrums. Now, that's somebody we could probably use on our fourth line, because I still say we are dreadfully soft and small. Unfortunately, it is worth noting that newly acquired Ike Howard had a disappointing weekend. I'm not surprised by that if you've been watching my videos. I'm really not. I think the hype for Howard was insane. I don't blame him for what he did in Tampa, saying, no, I'm not signing. I want to go where they might sign me or where they might play me. I don't blame him for that. But I think the hype they put on Howard was insane. And I've been saying all along, it's going to be Savoy or Howard going to the AHL. And based on very early, like Howard's going to get some NHL games just like Savoy, and that's where they're really going to decide who stays up. But I think one of these guys is going down. I don't think both are staying up. So anyway, the former Spartan skated with Savoy, and Savoy stood out far more. Howard fumbled pucks under pressure and often skated himself into dead ends. Gee, that sounds a lot like Yakupov, doesn't it? It looked like he tried to do too much, and that could be that it could have been pressure. One rough weekend does not matter in the big picture, but I hope for more from Howard in a rookie tournament. So, yeah, we'll see. Like I said, they're going to both get games in the NHL at the start of the season, and they're both going to probably be used heavily in the preseason, and we'll see what they can do. But I still say one of those two are going down to the farm. My early indication was the Oilers were going to give Howard the first chance on the team. But, if Savoy can outplay him, then Savoy might get that first chance and Howard will be going down. So anyway, there you go. That was the rookies this weekend. And last bit of news I have for you today, it's not really a long video, is Oilers Stuart Skinner looks completely different coming into training camp this year. Also by Oiler Nation. Stuart Skinner and goaltending have been one of the main talking points this past summer in Edmonton. Oiler fans were hoping the organization would address the goalie position in some capacity, but so far they've stood pat. And it seems they'll be running back the tandem of Skinner and Calvin Pickard. Now, first off, I don't think that's terrible. I think for Skinner and Pickard to improve their numbers, the team has to improve in front of them defensively. It's that simple. If we play offense, Skinner and Pickard are not going to produce. The fans are going to hate them. The fans are going to scream, and we're going to lose. We need, and I've been saying this, offense. offense, balance, defensive shutdown. I really do believe that's how the team needs to be designed. Fans were relieved to learn this past offseason that teams moved on from Dustin Schwartz, which I think is a huge plus, and may actually improve Skinner's game, and hired a new goalie coach, Peter Aubry. Going into the 25-26 season, the spotlight will still be large on Skinner, but there has been positive development regarding the Oilers netminder. It was Caleb Kearney on X who pointed out comments by Bob Stauffer that Skinner has looked completely different. In full, here's what Stauffer had to say in conversation with Oilers GM Stan Bowman. Far be it for a guy who hasn't been under 200 pounds since 1987 to be judging another dude on body composition, but Stuart Skinner looks completely different. He looks quicker, he looks more agile, and frankly, physically, when you see him up close, it's obvious he's dropped some weight. Bowman added to those comments. I actually saw Stu earlier this week in the kitchen before going to the ice. The first thing I noticed is he looked thin. And I said, wow, you look different. And he said, yeah, I wanted to try something different. Be a little bit lighter this year and I feel great. And he does. He looks great and he looks quick on the ice. And talking with Peter Aubry, who they formed a real connection with, Stu and I talked about that. He's really excited about the connection they formed over the summer. They've spent a lot of time with each other talking about the game, talking about his game, and really it's like a fresh approach to the season. I think when you add it all up, there is a lot of reasons for excitement coming into the season for Stu Skinner. So yeah, like that's what I said when they hired Aubry and fired Schwartz. For the life of me, I can't think of a goalie that Schwartz made better. Now, I don't buy into the theory that he made him worse. I think he preached the modern goaltending mentality of cover the bottom of the net only. And other teams just figured out, just raise the puck on Skinner and you're in. And if you watch my other videos, I scream for the Oilers to do that against Florida, against Bobrovsky, because Bobrovsky plays the exact same way. He covers the bottom of the net. You're not getting anything through on the bottom, but all our goals got scored just flipping them over him. But for some reason, the Oilers don't like to do that. Drives me insane, really does. So, but with Stu, it's like he was playing that style. He wasn't good as Bobrovsky on the ice. So some did get through him, but he always left the top open, and that's how Schwartz taught all of the goalies. You know, the only reason Pickard kind of got away from that is Pickard is naturally more athletic. You know, he's not the potential that Skinner was, but he's more athletic, so he could recover playing that style faster than Skinner could. So if Skinner's dropped weight and he's being more athletic, that may serve him well. But I was really excited about Aubry, not because I know who Aubry is or what his credentials are, but I was praying that he would bring something new to Skinner, make him different, make him better, add something to his game. And it sounds like that's what's happening. So I'll be very interested to see how Stu plays. I wish him all the best in luck because, I'll say it again, I really don't think Edmonton has that big of a goaltending problem. I think we have that big of a defensive play problem. And I'm not saying that is in our defensemen. I'm saying that is in the whole team in front of him playing defense. Which brings me back to we can't do offense, 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 offense. That's not going to win us games. We need to go offense, offense, balance, shutdown. So when they're out there and they're pressuring, we can put our shutdown guys out there and just shut it down. Make it easier on our goalies. That will improve our goalies. Keep the pucks to the outside. Don't let them stand in the slot unaccosted. Don't let them flip shots or redeflect shots without being somebody tying them up. You know, don't let somebody stand in the slot without one of our defense pushing them out of the slot. Like, these are all things we need to do, and they're all on the players in front of our goalies, not on our goalies. So, anyway, yeah. So, that's the news. That's what I found interesting, and that's my video for this week. If you like this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. And always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Not only does it get us interacting, but it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Have a great day. Bye.